That's our first up guest today on Artist and Art, Gregory Eaton.
Hello,
Gregory.
hello. Yeah, that was Misha L. of Santa Cruz, and the track is called Paris, and it is a beat from KZSC's own All Right.
All right.
Yeah.
And Greg is here in the house with Chris Cuadrado.
Cuadrado. Yeah.
Nice. Say it again for me, please.
Cuadrado.
I love it when you say that. That's so beautiful.
I do too. I love it. AKA LSiete.
AKA LSiete is also here with Greg. Gregory Eaton is one of our treasures here in town. He is a producer, musician, poet, and a wonderful, wonderful person who's been creating an amazing event happening over at the Tannery Arts Center, right in the courtyard, on the third Saturday of every month. He has created an event called The Art of Space.
Yeah.
And I was most fortunate to have Greg on when he had his first show, and you just had your fifth one last Saturday.
We did, yeah. So it's so awesome. Yeah, Nada, you had me in before the first show, which was back last August, and we were like promoting it, and it was supposed to be just like a one-time thing. I'd been working on this album, and we had the show, and it went really, really well. Chris was there, a whole lot of artists showed up, a ton of people showed up, you showed up, which I was so pleased with and excited about, and so we basically decided to turn it into a monthly show. And so it's the third Saturday of each month in the Tannery Courtyard from 7 to 10. We just had a show this past Saturday, and Chelsea Jones was performing, who is a UCSC student, and she totally killed it. She was amazing. All kinds of people showed up. It was great. So really looking forward to, these shows each month. So it's a really good thing to check out. Just a very laid back, comfortable environment. You can definitely be yourself. There's no pretense, cool space, cool expression.
So let's just describe it a little bit for my audience. And I first want to apologize profusely for having you on this Wednesday instead of last Wednesday. But as we're saying, this is a monthly event. So even though we missed the last Saturday, next February, the third Saturday.
Yeah, that's the 21st, I believe.
Which, I don't have a calendar right now. But I believe you, February 21st, Saturday, you want to be at the Tannery Arts Center courtyard, or in the ArtBar, I'm assuming, if it's
all
raining
kind of
or something.
Yeah,
hopefully
definitely.
Hopefully we get some bad weather, but not on your event.
Right.
And so what it is a curated poetry, hip-hop, live beats performance event.
Yeah, pretty much. So the ArtBar puts on a lot of great mics. They have these great poetry mics and on Mondays, and but we wanted to create a space that was outside of poetry, that artists could go beyond just words and poetry and express anything they really wanted to. We wanted to really empower artists to experiment and explore with their expression. So we created the Art of Space, which is definitely comes from a poetry spoken word core. So we always have an experimental poetry mic at the beginning of the show, and it's all these great poets and spoken word artists, some of them doing their work over music and beats. And then we have usually two headliners, experimental music acts. It's all kind of a little bit out there. Definitely a wide range of expression, a lot of different people coming together, but also finding common ground, and in the vein that we're all artists wanting to express things, trying to make it in this world, basically.
Right on. So Greg, tell us a little bit about that track that we got to hear at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, so that was Misha L, who was a big part of the first show. Misha is an artist that has always been willing to work with me since I got a lot more serious about music production. Chris is a really good friend with Misha. She's just a wonderful artist, and so we actually made that track like a little over a year ago, and All Right gave us some beats to use. The homie All Right, I love him so much. He's so crazy talented. And yeah, we put that track together, but we recently remastered it and did a video for it. So there's actually a video on YouTube if you search for Misha L. Paris. That's the name of the track.
And how do you spell Misha L?
Mesha, and then L.
And you can also go to Space Cadet on Facebook and SoundCloud, and the way that's spelled is SPC-CDT.
Yep, for
Space
sure.
Cadet, which is the name of your publishing
production
company.
Definitely.
And would you say, so again, SPC-CDT, and you can go to either Facebook or SoundCloud and get links to the videos and all the different music that you've produced. And would you say, Greg, that the art of space happened because of the ArtBar?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that it came perhaps out of the poetry mic, the open mics that we have at the Tannery Arts. And I believe the only open poetry mic events in town. And so the ArtBar Cafe is a big integral part of bringing these artists together, having the space, and being able to create events out of it.
Yeah, for sure. So if you don't know about it, you should definitely check it out. It's such a great space. It's called the ArtBar and Cafe, and it's at the Tannery Art Center, and it's been open for about a year. And it's like this place of magic, seriously. It's cultivated such a brilliant community because a lot of different art communities around town are all coming together and like meeting and collaborating at the ArtBar. The Monday poetry mics are a big part of it, but there's like new mics that are being developed and just more and more artists coming in.
Let's talk about that for a second,
Let's do
shall
that.
we? You can go to scartbar.com and follow along online if you're at home, or you can go to the ArtBar and Cafe on the Facebook. They have a page there. But every Monday night is kind of a whole afternoon, evening affair of poetry. It starts with a workshop, a poetry workshop at 4 p.m. And is that run usually by Jasmine, Queen Jasmine?
She does a workshop once a month, but it definitely varies from week to week. A lot of times, so we always have a feature come in on Mondays. So it's the workshop, the early mic, a feature, and the late mic. And usually the feature is somebody from out of town that's like touring through town. A lot of times the feature will teach the workshop.
Oh, nice.
So good opportunity to be led by, you know, a poet that's from out of town that probably has a lot of experience. And the workshops are excellent. Like it's so inspiring. Everybody sits there and writes together, and you can feel the energy, and a lot of excellent poetry comes out of those workshops.
And so that starts at 4 p.m., again at the ArtBar and Cafe at the Tannery Art Center. And then you have your first open mic, which is at the poetry open mic at 6 p.m.
Correct. Sign-up's at 5:30, and the mic at 6.
And I hear that you got to get there at 5:30.
You gotta get there earlier.
5:30.
Say that
it's
again.
Full
Chris.
You
by
gotta get there before 5:30. There's like a line forming at least 10 minutes before.
Yeah, it is. There's a high demand for that mic for sure.
So if you want to talk, you cannot be procrastinating.
Yeah, definitely.
Ain't gonna happen. And then you have the feature probably around 8 o'clock. The feature poet.
About 7, usually 7 to 7:30.
And then there's a late night mic.
Yeah,
that's been added at 9 o'clock.
I love the late mic. It's like one of my favorites. We just had such a great late mic. Chris DJ'd it, and the late mic is kind of like looser. It's easier to get on the list. It's not as competitive, and it's not as much like the spirit of the early mic is definitely like around poetry and original poetry. The late mic is a little more like kind of whatever you want to do. You can like do somebody else's poetry that really inspires you. You can just talk. Artists go up there and are like, let me tell you about my week, you know, and everybody's just like, tell me about it. And people do music stuff, so it's just a little looser, and the lights go down a little, and people get a little boozier, and so it's super fun.
Yeah, it's billed as the most drunkenest night of poetry in San Francisco. And it is, really.
It is, it's great.
Because people start around 5:30.
Yeah, so...
Or 3:30 if you're going to go to the workshop.
Sure. It's so much poetry. It's so excellent.
It's fabulous. I can feel it.
Yeah.
And then, so this is a weekly thing. And it's been going on since the beginning of the ArtBar.
It has. Before the ArtBar,
That's
before
right.
the ArtBar even opened, Kevin was doing the mic in the courtyard. He just had this little sound system that he pulled out there, and people started coming. And then the community kind of helped him to open the ArtBar.
So Kevin Devaney is who we're talking about.
The man, the myth, the legend.
And what I like to say, the only poet I know that makes money at his art.
Yeah, for sure.
And I
He's
want
figured it
to
out.
get his model out to the world so that all the poets
Yeah.
can make some money on their art.
Yeah.
Speaking of poets, Chris, you are a poet.
I am a poet, yes.
Cuadrado. Would you mind sharing with us one of your poems?
Sure.
Yeah.
I just wrote this new piece the other day that I debuted at the ArtBar. Whenever I'm around, I try to frequent it as often as possible. It's called Dead Constellations. I've spent more celestial cycles than I care to remember in orbit and in observation around your oblivion, telescoping your vast and empty ruptures for signs of life. Whether or not these signs are intelligent has always been irrelevant. I just need to know if something out there is still ticking and talking, that there is sand still falling in your hourglass, that there is a cosmic clock still moving for you, even if it moves against you. I need to know that there are grains still willing to fall for you, that there are hands that still count for you, the way that there are eyes that magnify the sky in search of you, or anything that resembles the science of what you used to be, hoping to find just a piece of your chemistry that can shine the way you used to, perhaps just enough dust to recreate you before you supernovaed yourself into something familiar and anomalous and spread too thin to remain recognizably you, when darkness fooled you into thinking it was death and it granted you what you thought were 3 wishes. It first taught you how to beat your heart out of rhythm and into stillness, and then it showed you how to untune its strings unstrummable, and finally it gave you what you needed to fill the hollow parts of you, so you no longer could sound off in the tone and treble of love, and finally put an end to amorous acoustics in your heart. The heart is not empty but too full to carry sound, and it disturbs me how well you could play the part of the undead, how easy it was for you to convince yourself that you were a fleeting and fading constellation of already dead stars, that the last of the light you had was already on its way, bright and brilliant reminders that the speed of your light will never outrun its shadow, that all you will have left after its arrival is the darkness on its heels, and it is all you will know. Until you find something worth burning for, when you realize that you yourself are worth burning for, you will yourself survivor in the shape of solar systems, because you are worth burning for.
That was really
Beautiful.
nice. And so you just whip that out, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a while. I'm very meticulous with my work, and so sometimes a piece will take several months. Sometimes it'll happen in a day. It really depends on what I'm feeling. I'm really critical of my work too. I have high standards for at least myself. If I don't enjoy it, then I'm not willing to put it out there. So.
Would you mind telling us just a little bit about how you were inspired to write that poem, and were those words? Is there a person that you're?
Actually, it's I opened up at the open mic saying that sometimes you write poems that sound like they're to someone else, but they're actually to yourself, and so that's one of those poems. I think a lot of my work tends to be more on the political spectrum, and recently I've started writing more personal things and trying to create a book of I call it sad brown boy poetry. I think the world needs a little more of that, and just kind of people being vulnerable with their own feelings and stuff. And so I think that's what the intention was around that piece, was kind of thinking about like what visions I had for myself, and whether or not I'm keeping up with that vision. And I really like space as well, and so that's that always plays into the aesthetics that I pull from and the words I choose.
Right, the metaphor of the universe and galaxy. Chris Cuadrado, if somebody wanted to find more of your poetry, where would they be able to get that?
They could find me on Tumblr. L, like the letter L, and then siete, siete.tumblr.com, and I post my visual work, I post the music that I make, and then I also post my poetry.
So LSiete.
Yeah.
L7?
Yeah.
So you like the band?
Yeah, everyone always walks up to me and he's like, hey, do you know that L7's a Riot Girl band? I'm like, of course I do. But I intentionally say the L's in English and the 7 is in Spanish to kind of, touch on my bilingualism. And then Cuadrado actually means square in Spanish. So that's where I don't know if you ever watched The Sandlot, but he's like, he's an L7 weenie. So that's kind of what I drew the inspiration from.
He calls himself a square, but I don't think he's a square. I know some real squares.
They're not
You are
square.
not
Anti-square.
Not square.
Like almost oval. Yeah. Would you mind terribly giving us one more?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm going to try to do something on the political spectrum.
Yeah.
Okay, while you're looking that up, I want to talk a little bit more about the Art Bar and Cafe. And
Yeah.
every Wednesday you have opened up a new open mic.
Yeah.
Way open.
The Way open mic.
Tell us about it, Greg.
Yeah, so there's so many artists around town, and we've just opened up a new space at the Art Bar and Cafe that will accept basically any style of expression. So, the Monday mics are definitely poetry. They get a little outside of poetry, but this mic, you can do anything. You can go up there, like, interpretive dance, non-interpretive dance. You can, like, read a short story. You can, like, juggle. You can, like, show us what your workout regimen is. But we had, like, a lot of people show up for the first Way Open Mic last Wednesday. A lot of singer-songwriters, a lot of great experimental music producers, which all that kind of, like, filters into the art of space as well. So I think that mic's going to help to cultivate just more community around expression. So that's Wednesdays at 7. And that's a brand new thing, the Way Open Mic. And the first one was amazing. Like, all the expression really blew my mind. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that mic develops.
Come through and get weird.
Yeah, get weird on that mic.
Tonight.
Yeah.
And then Thursdays you have at 7:30 Lucid Story Swap.
Right,
which
for
I
sure.
hear is really, really great.
Yeah.
And then this Friday, January 24th, we got Chris Lynch and Wireless Lovebird from 7 to 10 p.m. And by the way, folks, there is a stage in the Art Bar and
There is
Cafe.
now a stage and, like, all new lighting.
It's beautiful.
It's sexy.
Pretty
man.
fancy.
It's
It's
nice.
very nice.
And then we've got a big show coming up January 31st. What's happening? You're going to have to find out on Facebook. I guess.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
there's
there
somebody
is. I
big
think that's
is coming.
something that just got booked, and I don't know a lot about it, but that's definitely. I
wanted-
also, not of that weekend, I wanted to plug the KPP Poetry Festival as well.
That's right. We got some more plugging to do.
Yeah.
So let's just bring it up. The Kinetics Poetry Project is happening. There's a poetry festival happening here on campus.
Yeah, it's one of the largest in the country.
And it's happening 30th. That's Friday, January 30th, Saturday, January 31st, and February 1st. The KPP, the Kinetic Poetics Project.
Yeah.
You can go to Kinetics Poetics Projects on Facebook, and there is a website, which I believe is the kineticspoeticsprojects.com.
I think so. I don't know. It's
You'll
been a
find
while.
it. Yeah.
I haven't been a student for 2
And
years.
then on the second Saturday of every month at the Art Bar and Cafe, there is fresh produce. There won't be one
Yeah, they're taking a month off, but it's like Valentine's Day, but it's a great new show. It's basically in the Art Bar, second Saturday of each month, and music producers create beats and music right in front of you live. So they, like, build music using all kinds of different methods right in front of you, and it's like a great ambiance. You can just come in, kick it, have like a craft beer, listen to some great produced music, and have good conversations. And so that's a really excellent thing to check out moving forward for sure.
All right, scartbar.com or the Art Bar and Cafe on Facebook. We're going to hear from Chris Cuadrado. And then we're going to have a song coming out at the end of the show. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of our half hour. Next up is the fabulous Tandy Beal. I'm like on my knees to this woman. Gregory Eaton, what are we going to hear at the end of the show?
Yeah, so it's going to be a song by a group called Space Girls. And this is like a new project that I've been working on with 4 incredibly talented artists. Their names are Simone, Serendipity, Anna, and Abby. And we basically got together. We actually went protesting in Oakland and experienced a lot of things, thought about it, talked about it, and then made a track. And we're calling the project Space Girls, and it's super cool. So I'm excited to share it with all of your listeners.
But before Space Girls is played, we have to hear from Chris Cuadrado. You are going to play. What are you going to speak?
It's actually like an affirmation of myself, and it's a conversation with a poem that's attributed to Mark Twain. So yeah, actually, can I say the 3-letter word for butt?
Yeah.
Is that okay? It's not on the 7 deadly words, so I wasn't sure if I could say ass.
Yes.
Cool.
Only as a donkey.
Because this poem is called Conversation with Twain's Mark Ass, a.k.a. his donkey. Someone once sent me one of them pretty pictures on Facebook with a nice text. It was a poem by Mark Twain. It was supposed to be inspirational. It told me dance like no one is watching, sing like no one is listening, love like you've never been hurt before, and live as though it is heaven on earth. Well, I had to have a conversation with Twain's Mark Ass to let him and the rest of the world know that I don't want you to dance like no one is watching. I want you to dance as if the whole world were, as if a billion gazes could not hold enough shame in their retinas to ever make you feel you are where your feet shouldn't be planted, that your movements are unjust. I just want you to dance so that you may finally hear the melody of your chains, so that you may finally know the weight you carry, so you may find where the link is the weakest. I want you to dance as if liberation is the only language your body knows how to speak. I don't want you to love like you've never been hurt before. I want you to love like you never want to hurt again, as if you laid new foundation atop your heart's fragments, as if the lessons scrawled across your spirit's scar tissue were directions away from the monument of agony you've been building with the broken pieces of yourself, those testaments to anguish you're convinced are deserving of your worship. I want you to love as if you finally realized all life depends on it. I want you to sing. I don't want you to sing like no one is listening. I want you to sing like it is the only way you will ever be heard. I want you to sing like we've never known silence, as if the ancestors never had their tongues torn from their temples, and these lands only ever echoed with native tongues. I want you to sing as if it's the only way to know the guidance of those that came before you. I don't want you to live like it's heaven on earth. I want you to live as if each exhale extinguishes a portion of the hell we find ourselves in, as if each breath of oxygen you draw is one less molecule to feed the flames, as if our lungs expel the atmosphere that paradise is made of. I want you to live as the creator you are, bringing nirvana out from your lungs and out from the abstract I want you to be. I write this for the days I forget myself, putting pen to pad and bleeding myself out from invisibility, to poem myself away from the shame of feeling too tangible, to dance, sing, live, and love myself human. I write this for the days I forget myself, for the days I lose all that makes up my certainty, for the days I find comfort in the concept of a still heart, for when the edges of cliffs sing songs of sirens that hold my name too gently. I write this on the days I forget to remember I am a worthy vessel.
Yeah.
Chris Cuadrado, thank you so much. All right, Greg, turn it on, baby.
All right, let's do it.
Stay tuned, everybody. Nice. I like it all.